I I don't know anymore what to say. There's some reactions you have to certain games that you just don't know how to react to. There are those games that you don't know how to react to. Yesterday, we all witnessed one of those. On that note, welcome to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today is Monday, October 30th. Hopefully, everyone had a good weekend. Tomorrow's Halloween. No, I don't have a costume. I would have said the Zach Wilson jersey was a costume if we lost yesterday. If the Jets lost yesterday, but they didn't. And we're actually starting with the Jets in a moment. But quick note, thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel. Subscribe and watch the videos the past, 5 months, 6 months now? I have no idea. So we're closing on the 50th episode. But like I said in the last episode, if we can get, I want to keep it at 10 because it's an interesting scenario. If we get 10 likes on the video, I'll do a commentary of the comments choosing. So make sure to hit the like button because I actually kind of want to do it because I'm very interested to see what you guys would pick. But yeah, make sure to hit the like button if you want to see me possibly embarrass myself on this YouTube channel. It could be about absolutely anything. Movies, TV shows, sports, you name it. I just can't get demonetized. So if you guys want to watch Total Chaos Ensue on this show to open an episode, make sure to hit the like button and comment below what commentary you'd want me to do. Because I will do it. I just need you guys to hit the like button because it shows some support to the channel. Or subscribe. Or both. I would appreciate both, but I've learned that you can't get everything in life, and that is exemplified by this New York Jets game. That is where we are starting today. And I still don't know. I don't know. I mean, the New York Jets played the New York Giants in the battle for MetLife yesterday, and it was the main highlight of this game was injuries and choking. We'll start with the injuries. The Giants lost Tyrod Taylor in the first half. He went to the hospital. You hate to see it. He was replaced by Tommy DeVito, who threw for -1 passing yards. And the Jets almost lost. That's insane. 7 passing yards. But you gotta give a lot of credit to Saquon Barkley. 36 carries for 128 yards. Tommy DeVito ran for the touchdown. But you gotta remember why the Giants had a chance to score that touchdown to begin with. It was undisciplined plays from the New York Jets defense. Late unnecessary roughness penalties from Jermaine Johnson. I think Quincy Williams had one on that drive as well. They had 4 to 5 unnecessary roughness penalties or personal foul penalties, let's make it like that, which is uncharacteristic for this New York Jets team. And then you go to the offense, which you could argue Zach Wilson looked really bad until the fourth quarter. The alarming stat here is this is Zach Wilson's second most passing yards in a game this season. You have to go to the KC game to a game where he had more. So, is that a problem? Possibly. What also was a problem was the ground game. Our leading rusher was Zach Wilson. Is it like Dallas all over again? We actually won this game. Breece Hall, 12 for 17 on the ground. He saved his fantasy owners by going 6 for 76 in receiving. Garrett Wilson, over 100 receiving yards. I kind of expect that. Alan Lazard, I think, had more drops than catches. And then CJ Uzomah got a nice catch for 19 yards late in the game. So, what was my main issue? I mean, the offense couldn't move the ball. For the Jets offense couldn't move the ball. The Giants offense couldn't move the ball. The Giants strategy, for those that didn't watch the game, was drain clock, run the ball 3 times. It was boring. It was miserable to watch, listen to as a fan. I bet it was for everyone else who went to that game because it's very expensive to go to that game. And I don't think the fans got their money's worth until the last 20 seconds of regulation and overtime. And listen, the Jets looked terrible. It was an ugly, scrappy win. And I compared it to what I thought could happen, which was Denver from last year. It was pretty much that because the Jets fought tooth and nail against a bad quarterback and barely came out with the win. Because I don't believe the Jets faced Russell Wilson the first last year's Denver matchup. I think they faced Brett Ripien, but so Zach, did he miss some throws? Absolutely, but listen, he threw for 240 yards. He came at clutch when the Jets really needed him. Not on the second to last drive because he should have just thrown the ball up in the air. He should have said, "Heck, Garrett Wilson's somewhere." Just throw the ball in the air at that point. But listen, he came at clutch with some key throws. But if you remember one of the plays, the first play, the clock stopped because of a penalty. If that penalty doesn't happen, the Jets lose because the Jets would not have had enough time to run a good second play. So the penalty from Kayvon Thibodeau, I mean, there you go. I mean, the Giants also got away with, I think, a roughing a passer on the last drive. Zach Wilson stood in the pocket, took an enormous hit. I think if that was called if that was a hit like Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, I think that would have been a penalty. Heck, if it was on DeVito and he made that type of throw, I thought it should have been a penalty. But the Jets, the defense, excluding the drive where they looked terrible, looked solid and when they needed it. And I mean, they got a couple of sacks out of Jermaine Johnson. But the big thing here and the biggest takeaway is the injuries. Well, especially for the Jets, because they were down to their fourth string center for this game because Wes Schweitzer got injured and Connor McGovern got injured. There's no update on either of the two, from my knowledge at least. But if you look at and then for the Giants, of course, Tyrod Taylor. They had the injury to Darren Waller. I think that was very crucial. I mean, the only two players that positive yards receiving was Darren Waller and Matt Breida. Hell yeah, people, ladies and gentlemen. Saquon, 3 catches, 0 yards. But I spoke about it on Into the Stands during the week. The emergence of Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden were going to be a problem for the Jets. And they delivered again. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau, 3 sacks. I think it's his most career game. Dexter Lawrence had a field day getting to Zach Wilson and getting into the backfield. The defense for the Giants looked solid. Dory Jackson sold. That was totally pass interference. If you don't think that's pass interference, watch the playback or learn more about the rules. I know I'm harsh on that because you can argue that's a biased take, but Dory Jackson basically jumped on the receiver, so it's 100% a penalty. You can argue the ball was underthrown, but it's 100% a penalty. I also thought Greg Zuerlein missed the field goal. That could have ended. It would have been funny if he missed the field. It would have been really funny if that game ended in a tie. At that point, I thought it was going to end in a tie, but I'm surprised we even got to that point where it could have been a tie. But a lot of chaos in the NFL, and the Jets-Giants, perfect example. We had the Eagles in another game squeak out another close divisional win. They played the Commanders again. Jalen Hurts, great game. He had 4 touchdowns on 29 of 38 passing. Sam Howell, phenomenal bounce back from Sam Howell. I mean, the questions he had from his previous game against the Giants, look at this. 39 of 52 for 397, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I don't think you could have asked for anything more from Sam Howell. You saw a nice bounce back from Jahan Dotson, 8 catches for 108, the former Penn State receiver. For the Commanders, they also had Jamison Crowder out of nowhere, 7 for 95. Terry McLaurin also you knew was going to be good. And Logan Thomas back on the scene, 6 for 44. But here's a name I don't think anyone's heard in a while, Antonio Gibson, the former starting running back for the Commanders. It's now Brian Robinson. And, I mean, you saw a very high-scoring game, an excuse to not watch Giants-Jets. The big days in receiving, you couldn't go this game without mentioning A.J. Brown. He had 8 for 130. Devontae Smith, a hair shy of 100 receiving yards. Dallas Goedert had an okay game. Julio Jones got a touchdown. I don't think we've heard that one in a minute. But Nakobe Dean, 11 tackles. He had a field day out there yesterday. Big win for the Philadelphia Eagles. They go to 7-1. Other games in the early slot to talk about: the Dallas Cowboys running all over the Rams. The Jaguars barely, I'm going to say they barely beat Pittsburgh. I feel bad for Pittsburgh. They lost Kenny Pickett early on, and then they got replaced by Mitch Trubisky. That's a problem. But Trevor Lawrence, 24 of 32 for 292. Good stats there. Just one passing touchdown, though. I'm worried about their passing game. I kind of am, because not just that, but their red zone offense I'm kind of worried about as well. So if you want to make them a legitimate contender, they have to be better in the passing game, in the red zone. The Texans lost to the Panthers in the battle of the number 1 versus number 2 quarterbacks in the draft. This time it was the number 1 QB, Bryce Young, beating C.J. Stroud in one of the ugliest games of the week. Tua beats the Pats again. And the Vikings, who lose Kirk Cousins for the season, beat Green Bay 24-10. And I just don't know what Minnesota does from here. I mean, they saw Jaren Hall play 3 of 4 for 23 yards out of him. You finally saw Minnesota run for a touchdown out of a running back. Cam Akers got it. I don't think Madison has one this season. Can Cam Akers turn into the RB1 for the Vikings? It's possible. I am really worried about them now. KJ Osborne had a field day, 8 for 99. TJ Hawkinson had 6 for 88. Then another nice day for Jordan Addison, 7 for 82 and a touchdown. So those three have been very good in the passing game. Your questions are going to be, who do they play at quarterback? Will they go with Jaren Hall? Maybe. But over the next 48 hours from when this video is being recorded, next 24 hours, really, at this point, you're going to probably see Minnesota try to make a move for a quarterback. Who do I think they can go for? Listen, I think they should go for Bridgewater. I'm dead serious. Getting back the quarterback that was supposed to be your future, put him in a situation like this. I think Teddy Bridgewater would be good in this situation. I would not go for Jameis Winston. I don't think Jameis Winston would improve his team. I think Bridgewater would. I mean, he can move. He can make good plays. He'll be disciplined with the ball. I think Jameis Winston would just turn it over a lot. So I think Teddy Bridgewater work here. Listen, I think they should possibly trade for Josh Dobbs for the way he's playing as a 1-year rental. I think that could work. For Minnesota, I think it should be Dobbs, Jaren Hall, or Teddy Bridgewater. Should be their quarterback. One of the three. Who do I think it's going to be? I think they're going to ride with Jaren Hall. I don't know why I think that, but I mean, 3 or 4 for 23 is not great, but they may have to rely on a free agent quarterback. I don't know which one you'd want to take at this point, but it's a bad situation for Minnesota, especially with the deadline fast approaching, since it's on Halloween, which is tomorrow. So we also have, in other new games, the Titans, led by Will Levis. Excuse me, what? Will Levis, the man who puts mayo in his coffee, threw for 4 touchdowns against the Atlanta Falcons. Are the Titans back? I don't know. I mean, listen, Desmond Ridder got injured. You hate to see it. Taylor Heineke did come into the game, threw for 175 yards. The Titans, though, 100-plus yards out of Derrick Henry again. But they went to Will Levis, and listen, Malik Willis didn't throw a pass. That's how bad he was. I think he may have gotten injured as well. But Will Levis had a great game. The touchdown, yeah, I think he got injured on like the first drive or something. I did not watch this game for reference. I'm just looking at the stats here. So a nice win for the Titans led by Will Levis. Hopefully Malik and Tannehill are good. And the Browns just losing to the Seahawks. The Browns led by, I think that's P.J. Walker. Yeah, it's listed as Philip Walker on Google, but it is P.J. Walker. 15 of 31 for 248 as the Browns lose to go to 4-3, tied with the Jets. The Jets now in 3rd position. The Bills in 2nd because the Bills won this week. And the Dolphins go to a nice 6-2. The Patriots, after losing again, fall to 2-6. A very crucial 2 games behind the Jets. The goal for the Jets is finish in 3rd ahead of New England. I'll take it at this point. In the later session, the Bengals decided to play football because Joe Burrow apparently has like 3 bad games and then turns into Jesus himself. He beat the Niners, which some people are saying they're frauds. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where all this Brock Purdy hate came from. I mean, he was overhyped, yeah, but can't go hating the dude. I mean, I don't know what else you want him to do. He threw for 365 yards. But the Niners defense, I don't know. Christian McCaffrey didn't run for over 100 yards. George Kittle played a great game. He threw, I think it's one of his highest career receiving yard games. 149 receiving yards for a tight end. Saved my fantasy day, I'll tell you that much. Brandon Ayuk over 100 yards. Christian McCaffrey over 100 total yards. I mean, I don't know what else you want him to do. Maybe it's the 49ers even. I don't know. But the Bengals get a much needed win on Joe Burrow throwing for just shy of 300 passing yards, and Jamar Chase going for 100 receiving yards. Big win for them. But the bigger story, I think, was Broncos country. That's right. The Broncos defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 24-9, asking the question, if Taylor Swift is not there, are the Chiefs legit contenders? They are, by the way. The Chiefs are still very good. But they were shut down by Russell Wilson, who threw for 114 yards. Take that how you will. If you look at the total yards, the Chiefs only had 275 total yards, which is more than the Broncos. They had more passing yards, but the Broncos ran all over KC. I think that could be a problem for the Chiefs in the long run. Big rushing days from Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. Russell Wilson also 8 for 30. Jerry Jeudy caught a touchdown. Will he be traded? No idea at this point. No idea. Cortland Sutton also got a touchdown, along with Javonte Williams. All receiving touchdowns. That's all you need. 115 passing yards apparently out of Russell Wilson will earn you a Denver Broncos win. A Denver Broncos win that actually does keep them in last. I mean, that division's the bottom 3 are terrible. The Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos entering today are both under 500. How is that possible? The Broncos have won back-to-back games. So, I mean, the Broncos have come off back-to-back wins against the Packers and the Chiefs. They play Buffalo next. Have fun, but can they stun the Bills and give the Jets a chance to go into second? Probably not. Probably not. You can hope a little bit. Have some hope. We had the Ravens beat the Cardinals in a very sketchy end. The Cardinals, I think, did get an onside kick and then got a field goal and then didn't get another one. And the Chargers beat the Bears in a non-shocker to anyone. And tonight's game, Monday Night Football, we have the Raiders and the Lions. I'm expecting the Lions to run all over the Raiders. Jimmy G is supposed to be back, but I'm expecting the Lions to win this for sure. The next topic, you'll head to the Premier League because we also have the Champions League to talk about, so it's a good segue into soccer. And I just want to give my thoughts on the current situation because it's evolving more over the last couple of days, and that's Jadon Sancho. Just quick thoughts on this. Man United as a whole, what they're doing with Jadon Sancho, I've never seen before out of any player anywhere in the world. I've never seen a situation get this much popularity for how bad they're treating a player. I mean, he's just there. I want him to play. He's so talented. I'll take him on Arsenal. But he is linked to transfers because Man United doesn't know what they're doing. They lost the City. More on that in a moment. And there's now a solid race to sign Jadon Sancho from Manchester United, even though he wants to stay there. I don't know why at this point. I think they should just release him. But let's see what Aaron Hag. Ten Hag calls it unfair. It's his fault. I don't get it. I mean, I read the headline wrong. My mistake. It says former Premier League star Sean Wright Phillips believes Manchester United star Jadon Sancho has been treated unfairly by Erik ten Hag, and the club must let the issue go. That's an interesting way to put it. Reports now suggest the star is committed to leaving the club in the January transfer window. That's not true, actually, because he's reportedly also said, I don't want to leave. It's been a mixture of the two. But Sancho's teammate, so basically, for those who don't know the situation, Ten Hag called out Sancho saying he didn't try in training, and Sancho called him a liar. Apparently, it escalates this far. Listen, I think Ten Hag should be sacked for this, but you don't call out. Here's how I put this: you don't call out your player in the media. You tell him in a regular meeting. You don't call him out in the media. Apparently, no one's learned that, and now here we are. Because Jadon Sancho has been basically exiled to the shadow realm at this point. But now, he was the second most expensive English player. He has now been linked to clubs such as, there's some big ones here, Juventus and Tottenham? Tottenham are in on this. I kind of like it, Listen, I hate it as an Arsenal fan. The Arsenal fan inside of me hates to see Jadon Sancho on Tottenham. But the more you think about it from the unbiased part, the more it makes sense for him. It makes sense for a player who's been exiled by Man United to be sent to the mean club at this point in Spurs and then just go out and play absolutely insane for Spurs. It's just an interesting thought that Sancho on Tottenham, I think, is a very big possibility. But currently Sancho's reluctant to leave. Not smart. But Saudi Arabia is also, the clubs there are interested in Jadon Sancho. That would also make kind of sense. Maybe he plays there for half a year and then comes back. I think that's a possibility. I think Juventus, they've been linked with him too. I think that's a good move. Put him in the Juventus team. Listen, I think there's a ton of clubs that I think should be interested in Jadon Sancho because I don't think he's going to cost very much. $30 million, I think. Maybe when Chelsea comes and swoops him in. Arsenal, I think, could be a possibility as well. I'm dead serious. The Kai Havertz experiment has not worked for Arsenal. And putting a guy like Jadon Sancho at Martin Odegaard, granted, it's going to get some people sold. But if you're in win now mode, and if you're Arsenal, I would be intrigued by the option and the opportunity to get Jadon Sancho in January. I'm just saying, I would love to see Jadon Sancho in Arsenal. But speaking of Arsenal, let's break down this Prem League. So, Arsenal, we'll quickly go with them. They played Sheffield. It wasn't close. If you thought this game was going to be close, I don't know what to tell you. Arsenal won 5-0. Eddie Nketiah is back, apparently. And Arsenal is playing a lot of the backups. And the backups did a job. They won 5-0. Good job. Tottenham, the aforementioned Spurs, played Palace on Friday. And an ugly one. I'm just going to call it ugly because, let's look at the numbers. It was ugly, I think, for both teams. Palace, known for their defending, they got a penalty late to make it 2-1. But goals from Heung-min Son and an own goal got the win for Spurs. They're just doing enough to win at this point. Spurs are 2 points ahead of the aforementioned Arsenal, as well as Manchester City. So, nice win from Spurs. Brentford just beat Chelsea. I don't know what to think of Chelsea anymore. They can just be so competitive against teams like Arsenal and then just lose 2-0 to Brentford and get torched by guys like Brian Mbeumo. 2.16 XG to a Brentford team that doesn't score. Where are any goals scored? I'm dead serious. They've scored a lot recently, but they don't. They're the second lowest scoring team in the top 10. But they have been much better defensively recently. And that's been the big news from Brentford. But Brian Mbeumo had a great game. Goals in this one were scored by Pinnock and, of course, the aforementioned Mbeumo. He scored late. Brentford pile on the misery at Stamford Bridge, winning by a final result of 2-0. Bournemouth beat Burnley. I don't know what to think of this one. A late goal by Billing and the man of the match, Tavernier. Said it wrong initially. Philip Billing got the winner in the 76th minute. And Bournemouth just beat Burnley. That's all my thoughts on that one. Wolves shocked everybody as they drew Newcastle. A goal by Huang. I think we've said his name a lot recently. Let me see if I can pronounce this right. He Chan Huang, assisted by Toti Gomez, got the equalizer. Unfortunate injury for them. Pedro Neto is hurt. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. As of right now, I haven't really looked into the situation. Hate to see something like that happen, though. Goals for Newcastle were by Wilson, Callum Wilson with 2 goals, and Lamina was the other goal scorer for Wolves. If you look at the XG, Newcastle had 2.19 XG and scored 2 goals. Wolves, 0.89 XG, outscoring their XG. I think it was a very balanced game between these two sides. And Wolves get a very nice result, drawing Newcastle and putting Wolves in 12th in a big tie with Chelsea, Palace, and Fulham. They're tied for 11th, excuse me. And it's getting very interesting around that part of the table. From yesterday, we had Everton just beat West Ham out of nowhere. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored the winner. Not many thoughts now. We're just going to list some of the scores because we are actually losing a lot of time. Aston Villa beat Luton Town. Not much to say there. They won 3-1. Brighton Fulham, I thought, was weird because Brighton got torched by João Palhinha. Evan Ferguson scored early on, but João Palhinha said not so fast. Fulham get a very nice result and are in that aforementioned race for 11th. Fulham, I think they're on a pretty decent run. They've gained points in 3 of their last 5, and their games they haven't gained points in were Chelsea and Tottenham. So Fulham figuring it out, kind of. Brighton are now in a free fall, it feels like, but they're really not. They have drawn 3 of their last 5 and are winless in how many of the last league matches? They're winless in the league since their match, I believe, with Bournemouth in late September. So Brighton's got to figure it out because they're in a free fall as well. Liverpool beat Nottingham Forest, no shocker there, and then just City, led by Erling Haaland, winning 3-0, courtesy of a brace from Haaland and a goal by Phil Foden. The stats, they don't lie. 4 XG for Man City. I haven't seen an XG that high all season. 21 shots, 7. United got outmatched. Just gotta admit it. What a crazy day in the Prem. But let's move on to something I've wanted to talk about because, unfortunately, like I said, we didn't have the episode from Friday. Let's recap the Champions League week. So, in my predictions, I believe, let me just make sure again, because I write this down in notes. I think I went 12 of 16 this week. Champions League picks. We went 12 of 16 this week, guys. So very impressive. We're going to just make sure at the end of the season how many games we get right. But 28 of 40 as of right now with 62.2%. That's not bad. I'll take that, We had Bayern just beat Galatasaray 3-1 in an ugly game to the end. It was 1-1 for a while, but Harry Kane and Musiala scored 2 late ones to seal the deal for Bayern. Inter beat Salzburg. And Real Sociedad, out of nowhere, are top of Group D. They are unbeaten in their first 3, tied with Inter. Benfica in major trouble. They're in 4th on 0 points. They haven't scored yet. How is this possible? I don't know. Real Madrid with a nice win over Braga. I knew it was going to be a struggle, but Braga putting up very good competition. PSV with gain a much-needed point to somewhat stay in the hunt because PSV is still only 3 points behind second place and 4 out of first. Because Arsenal, with a nice win against Sevilla 2-1, puts Arsenal top of the group by 1 point over Lens. Interesting situation, though, for Arsenal. Sevilla are winless in their first 3, as is PSV, both on 2 points, all to play for in Group B. Napoli beat Union Berlin. That group is Real Madrid and Napoli, top 2. I don't think anyone's shocked by that. But the big shocker is the struggles from Union Berlin, who have been in a free fall. I think I've said that a lot recently, but they've been in a true free fall since the start of the season. I don't think they've won a game since August. Group D, we've already mentioned. Group E, Feyenoord. I told you, don't sleep on Feyenoord. Feyenoord did their thing and beat Lazio 3-1. Celtic, out of nowhere, kind of out of nowhere, because I think I had this game as a draw. You always want to make sure of this type of stuff, because when we did these predictions, when I did these predictions of that, there's no we, it's just me being here. I think I had Feyenoord, Celtic drawing this game. I did. That's nuts. I did have Celtic drawing this, so nice prediction by me, by the way. Gotta give me some credit here. But Feyenoord is still on top of that group. Celtic getting a massive draw to put give Celtic essentially their first point in the tournament. Feyenoord now in control of first place ahead of Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and then the aforementioned Celtic. In the next group, we have PSG beat AC Milan, an AC Milan team that has yet to score a goal, and Dortmund just beating Newcastle. Newcastle, who couldn't score at home, had a very poor week. The group is now PSG in front, followed by Dortmund, Newcastle, and AC Milan, who, like I said, haven't scored a goal. In Group F, Group G, Man City won again because they're not. I really don't think they're going to lose a group game at this point. They won in Switzerland against Young Boys, and we had Leipzig with a nice 3-1 win at home to Red Star Belgrade to put this group with City and Leipzig. I think they could I think City can clinch it in match day 4. That's how out of hand this is. It's possible that they can. They're going to be in Manchester, I believe, against Young Boys again. So they're closing the door on this pretty much. In Group H, Barcelona, who look phenomenal in the Champions League, by the way. They did lose over the weekend, though, which sucks. Barcelona doing Barcelona things. They beat the Shakhtar Donetsk, and Porto, after looking terrible in the first half, just come out with 4 second-half goals to beat Royal Antwerp by a score of 4-1 in Antwerp. Setting up the group is Barcelona, Porto, then Shakhtar, then Antwerp, just as I had it in my predictions. You will not hear the Champions League because we're going to have a preview of the next match day, I believe next week, on November 7th. So, yep, next Monday's episode will be, once again, one of the segments will be our Champions League preview for the week. I believe 2 more sports to talk about. We have the World Series going on. Just my quick thoughts on the World Series so far. We had an incredible first 2 games. Series resumes tonight. We had Game 1 go down to the wire with Paul Sewald, Mets legend, blowing it due to a home run by Corey Seager in the 9th inning. And then the Rangers took the opener 6-5. And then the Diamondbacks, led by Merrill Kelly, have responded well. Merrill Kelly going 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, striking out 9. The bullpen held it down, and the Diamondbacks respond very well, winning 9-1 as the series heads back to the desert. The desert will host games 3, 4, and 5, which game 3 is tonight. Game 4 is tomorrow. And game 5 being Wednesday night. Game 6 on Friday and game 7 on Saturday. So next time I'm in this chair, we could have possibly seen the end of the 2023 MLB season. And eventually, I don't know if I'm going to make this its own video, the MLB season recap. I don't know. I still have to figure that one out. I might do that a couple of episodes, dude, how much impactful stuff is going on. I might merge it with the international break video. That's possible as well. I don't know. But what do I expect in this series? I expect this. This is where it gets really fun. How do the Rangers play on the road? The Rangers are a good road team. The Diamondbacks are solid at home. So you would think. I believe Braden Fat is on the mound tonight for the Diamondbacks. I think the Rangers are going to eat him alive. Possibly. I think this series is going to go down to the wire all the way. It's going to be so much fun. But I think you'll hear better thoughts on the World Series when I have Colin and Chris with me on Into the Stands on Thursday. Check out the last episode of that video of Into the Stands using the link below. Into the Stands news is possibly coming soon. There's I'm just leaking this now. There's possible changes to WIUR coming, which will change the platform that Into the Stands is on. More information on that as we get it. It's possible, but yeah, I mean, hopefully this doesn't get leaked anywhere. I don't think many people would leak it anyway. But the World Series has been interesting. But we're going to conclude today's episode with F1 because we had the Mexico City Grand Prix and another race where someone gets taken out in the first corner and is DNF. Unfortunately, that one was Checo Perez. We saw a lot of DNFs from Logan Sargent again to both Aston Martins and Kevin Magnussen. So the order of the top 10 was Verstappen, then Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Ricciardo, Piastri, Albon, and Ocon. So one of the big shockers here, it's got to be Lando Norris. I think he started P19 and he finished P5. Mega drive from Lando Norris. He had a great race. Lewis Hamilton, good race. He got the fastest lap. Leclerc, I believe he started on pole, finished in third. Can't really complain with that. They had both Ferraris who started 1-2 had a very poor jump off the line. And for those who don't know what happened with Perez, he tried to go around the outside of turn 1. I think it was, you would classify that as the outside. And he basically drove into the side of Leclerc, Perez rolled his tire rolled on top and just went off the road, and he unfortunately had to DNF. The big shocker the entire weekend was an AlphaTauri. Yes, Daniel Ricciardo, the Honey Badger, 6 points for AlphaTauri. Insane. Listen, you might think I'm overreacting because I love Daniel Ricciardo, and that is very true. When you look at the team standings, are they in last still? I'm actually interested in this. Are they in last still? By how much? AlphaTauri's in P8. Go on, boys. It's literally just Daniel Ricciardo at this point. Daniel Ricciardo carrying AlphaTauri to a cool P8. Haas is in dead last with Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. It's a battle for the 8th spot with a couple races to go. Because if you look at the remaining calendar, it's Brazil, Vegas, and Abu Dhabi to decide P8, P9, and P10 in the Constructors. And it's going to be the battle to decide P2 in the Constructors' Championship because we have Mercedes and Ferrari going head-to-head. McLaren, who have been unbelievable since Miami. I reverse jinxed them in Miami. If you watch the Starting Grid podcast, or listen to the Starting Grid podcast, excuse me, I said McLaren needs to figure it out. They figured it out, all right. 256 points for McLaren, ahead of Aston Martin, who have really fallen off. You can't have a good full season without having a good first half and a second half. Unfortunately, Aston Martin picked the first half to be their good half and not the second. McLaren did the opposite. Williams, led by pretty much just Alex Albon and 1 point from Logan Sargent, are in P7 in the Constructors. But if you look at the Drivers' Championship, Hamilton is only 20 points behind Perez. I think this question needs to be raised. I think a lot of people have raised this question. Is Perez in the Red Bull next year? Who would I think this is the question. Who would I put in the Red Bull next year? I want Lando in the Red Bull. I do. But who do I think it's going to be? There's options. I think Albon could be in the running. I'm dead serious. I think he could be in the running for the Red Bull again. Danny Rick, I think, can be in the running. I think they could steal somebody else. Listen, I imagine they had Piastri. Imagine how good Piastri would be. I think I even think Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz could possibly be in the mix because Sainz has that pre-agreement with Audi. Give him a short-term deal and just put him in the Red Bull for like a year or two. But Red Bull's Academy has struggled to really develop drivers besides like someone like a Max Verstappen. There's especially like currently because I don't see them calling up an F2 driver who has like enough super license points to replace the seat. It's gonna be someone who's currently on the grid. If you're thinking current, you want a guy who may need to change the scenery. I think Lando could be an option. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what happens though with the drivers market. Cause it's possible that we see nothing happen, which would suck. But no, it's an interesting. It's an interesting problem to have if you're Red Bull. But on that note, that will be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, hit the like button down below. 10 likes, and I'll do a commentary of you guys' choosing. Just let me know what topic you want to see down below, or hit me up on DM me on Instagram at rbasel_11 or the Robbie Basel Show Instagram. Both handles will be down in the description. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week. But for now, I'm Robbie Basel saying so long. I'll see you guys on Friday. Goodbye, everyone.